Hi, good evening. This is Jarrett doing the oral presentation for the last week for the autobiography that we wrote about. So I just kind of wanted to give you a little insight of pretty much where I came from, my upbringing, and how it brought to me where I am at now. So it all started with me, growing up in a bad neighborhood in San Diego, California. Just a lot of bad crowds. We like to call this gang banging. So, me growing up in a bad neighborhood as a minority, that was really the only way that we could fit into society. Um, when we had to implement protection and on that kind of stuff. So, growing up, moving in my neighborhood, I would always take my bike and I'd ride it, and then it all started with these kids trying to grab my bike. You know, Mama didn't raise no fools, so I just pretty much stood my ground and eventually had my first fight at a very very young age, and then eventually me commuting to my house and to school, it just became a reoccurring thing. Um, and then eventually, when I transferred to high school for me wasn't that far. Junior high and high school were all in the same school, so it was all within walking distance. My older brother was already involved in some illegal activities, so um, I guess you can say it was just within the brotherhood for me to follow his steps. So I saw him getting involved with the wrong crowds, and I just followed his suit and did the same thing. Mainly because I wasn't a bully when I was a young kid, but I was always getting picked on. These random guys always asking me for money, and I just got fed up with it. I would come home with bruises, cuts. Sometimes I would be in detention numerous times, and then I just got fed up with it. So I thought to myself that being in a gang would help support me growing up in that tough neighborhood, and eventually I realized that that wasn't the case. Um, I was always involved in some type of negative mannerism that when we were at my friend's house, Carlos, one of my good buddies, we were just minding our own business, smoking, playing dominoes, drinking. Opposing gang rolled by and pretty much did a drive-by shooting. He didn't make it that night. God rest his soul. It was a very very tough moment for me. Even today I kind of getting choked up just thinking and talking about it. But that was really the eye-opening experience for me that really told myself that you need to do something else with your life or you're not gonna make it. Because all those guys that I used to hang out with were pretty much now locked up or they're dead. So it took that one instance. It wasn't even me going to jail or me getting hurt really bad or whatever the case may be, but it was them lying in my arms knowing that this guy just died at a young age for what cause. What was the whole reason behind all this? Is it because of colors? Is it because of the territory? So yeah, I woke up and decided that I wanted to do something with my life. So hence me enlisting in the Air Force. If you guys don't know, I'm 18-year combat veteran. I'm still serving. I'm still in the Air National Guard. I just got tired of moving around, so just decided to just make that transition and stay here in Hawaii. So, um, just to summarize how basic training went for me, that was another experience. Me growing up in a troubled youth, didn't think that I could surpass, overcoming the authority when it came to the military. But everybody in my family has served, so it was only normal for me to follow the steps. I wasn't planning on making a career out of it, but come to find out, I was actually pretty good at what I did. So, um, when you get a chance to serve your country, you take the opportunity and make something out of yourself. And that's what I did. That was my ticket out of that whole black hole that I was in. Um, so going to Lackland Air Force Base, Texas, it was just a really, really bad experience from there on. Haven't eaten anything, haven't slept for a while. That was my fault due to the drinking that I did the night before, celebrating my independence, as I would call it. Bad decisions led to bad experiences, but you know, um, had some drinks with some guys that never seen again. But they all went to their respective branches, and then eventually, got stationed somewhere. But yeah, I never saw those guys again. Um, so when I landed in Texas, really, really, sleep deprived, really, really tired, really, really hungry, the whole nine. And, once all the yelling started, it was just all downhill from there. The drill sergeants were surrounding us. They're like, hey, get off the bus, get off the bus, yada, 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 Oh, um, it was not fun. Eventually, it led up to this. My drill instructor. He really had fun with me because I always thought to this day I was his favorite. He he had a nickname for me. He called me Numbnut. I guess maybe because he didn't like the way I look or my mannerism or the way the way I was. He asked a lot of questions where it was from, what I did, and he made a lot of assumptions where some of them were right. So eventually, I had no my recruiter failed to tell me that I needed to shave and get rid of all the facial hair. It just saves him some time, doing them for me. So they rushed me upstairs. They had a bunch of 6 weekers who were getting ready to graduate, and kept yelling my ears off. And eventually, I just shaved my half of my face off, and I ended up cutting myself. So the whole entire time, my face was bleeding. You could just imagine me trying to hold my face and him yelling and saying, "What the hell are you doing? I didn't give you permission to bleed on my floor." So yeah. And then while he was yelling, he was spitting in my face. His hat just kept on hitting my forehead. Kept on hitting my forehead, and I lost it. I lost my bearing. I ended up physically pushing him, which led me to being washed back a week. But I made it. I made the cut. I'm still here, still grinding, still trying to better myself till this day. The one thing that I learned from that experience is, you can never stop improving yourself. There's always an opportunity to make yourself better in some way, shape, or form, whether that be, physically, mentally, or spiritually. So that's just my biography in a nutshell. Um, and I'll be reading you guys' comments. Thanks for tuning in.